What happens when a global television institution realizes in real time that their entire rulebook had been shredded by a single performer? The atmosphere inside the London Palladium during the 2026 season of Britain's Got Talent wasn't just electric, it was practically radioactive. When Matty Juniosa walked onto that stage, the air in the room didn't just shift, it stilled. We're used to a typical variety show arc, the underdog, the trembling amateur, the diamond in the rough. But from the moment the lights hit Matty, it was clear that the rough had already been polished to a mere finish. As a reporter covering the entertainment beat, you see a lot of rehearsed humility, but this was different. This was a man who carried himself like a headliner who had accidentally wandered into a student film. When he opened his mouth, the technical precision was so overwhelming that it felt less like an audition and more like an eviction notice for the status quo. The judges, usually so quick with their witty barbs, sat in a state of visible paralysis. Simon Cowell, the architect of modern pop stardom, looked less like a judge and more like a man watching his life's work being redesigned by an outsider. This wasn't just a vocal performance, it was a structural collapse of everything we thought we knew about reality television. The audience didn't just cheer, they erupted in a way that signaled they were witnessing the birth of a new power dynamic in the industry. It was the moment the Contestant label became obsolete and the Disruptor label took over. From that first high note, it was obvious that the show's producers hadn't just found a star, they had found a problem they couldn't control. The public loves a rags to riches story, but what if the story was actually riches to rags and back again? As news of his audition spread like wildfire across digital platforms, the investigative machines of the internet began to churn. Our reporting reveals that the humble waiter from Glasgow narrative was only half the truth. While Matty was indeed serving drinks at the horseshoe bar to make ends meet, he was also a seasoned titan of a stage in Southeast Asia. This wasn't a secret, but it was a detail the show's editing suite conveniently tucked away to heighten the drama. Matty had already conquered screens in the Philippines, performing as part of high-profile vocal groups and competing in major televised arenas. He had moved to Scotland in 2022 to pursue musical theatre, effectively resetting his career to zero. This created a massive ethical debate among viewers. Was it fair for a professional with thousands of hours of stage experience to compete against hobbyists? Accusations surfaced that he was a ringer or a plant brought in to boost declining ratings for the 2026 season. However, the deeper we dig, the more we see a man who was simply unwilling to let his past define his future. He wasn't hiding his experience, he was weaponizing it. Controversy only added fuel to the fire, as critics and fans clashed over what a talent show should be for the undiscovered or the best. This tension turned every one of his appearances into a high-stakes referendum on the nature of fame itself. He was living a double life, a working-class student by day and a world-class vocalist by night. And the friction between those two identities was exactly what made him the most talked-about person in the country. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, the most powerful man in music found himself unable to dictate the terms of his own show. In the world of televised talent, the golden buzzer is the ultimate prize, a shortcut to the finish line that usually comes with strings attached. But Matty Juniosa managed to do something that should have been mathematically impossible within the show's format. During the 2026 semifinals, he delivered a rendition of a rock classic that was so technically demanding it left the music world in a state of shock. It wasn't just the vocal range, it was the defiance in his delivery. Amanda Holden didn't just give him a standing ovation, she shattered the protocol by awarding him a second golden buzzer, a move that theoretically didn't exist in the rulebook. This created an unprecedented logistical nightmare for the production team. How do you judge a competition when one person has already been crowned twice by the panel? Our sources behind the scenes indicate that the internal memos were flying. There was a genuine fear that the competition had become too one-sided. But the real conflict was happening in the contract negotiations. Typically, a high-placing contestant is expected to sign away significant portions of their creative autonomy to the show's associated labels. Matty, however, seemed to be playing a much more sophisticated game. He wasn't just there for a trophy, he was there for the platform. He treated the show like a massive global marketing campaign for his own independent brand. This started to cause visible friction with the traditional management structures. The Golden Boy was starting to look more like a Golden Rebel, and the industry was beginning to realize that they couldn't put this particular bird back in a cage once the cameras stopped rolling. While the labels were preparing the paperwork, Matty was busy preparing an exit strategy that would leave the corporate machine in the dust. The most shocking part of the Matty Juniosa story isn't what happened on the stage, but what happened in the silence afterward. Following his history-making run, the industry expected the usual flood of generic pop covers and a predictable album cycle managed by a major label. Instead, Matty chose a path that has left many executives scratching their heads in disbelief. He began leaning heavily into his independent status. Utilizing his massive social media following to bypass the traditional gatekeepers, his move has been described by insiders as an industry insurgency. By refusing to follow the standard post-show script, he effectively proved that the power has shifted from the labels to the creators. He wasn't interested in being a manufactured pop star. He wanted to be an artist with total creative control. This led to a wave of rumors and speculations about his relationship with the powers that be. Some claimed he was being sidelined, while others correctly identified that he was the one doing the sidelining. He remained in Glasgow, staying close to the community that supported him during his lean years, which only served to solidify his brand as an authentic voice. Our reporting suggests that this Juniosa blueprint is now being studied by other artists who realize they no longer need to sign predatory contracts to reach a global audience. He has turned his back on the traditional winner's curse, where artists fade into obscurity after their contract ends. Instead, he's building a sustainable long-term career on his own terms, proving that the most valuable thing an artist can own is their own name and their own masters. The question isn't whether Matty Juniosa won the show. The question is whether the show can survive the changes he's forced upon it. As we look toward the horizon of 2026 and beyond, the impact of Matty Juniosa's journey is becoming a permanent fixture in the entertainment landscape. He has forced a massive re-evaluation of how these discovery platforms operate. Producers are now faced with a difficult choice. Do they continue to scout for amateurs who are easy to manage, or do they embrace the pro-level talent that viewers clearly crave? The audience has spoken and they prefer excellence over a forced narrative. This shift has sent shockwaves through talent agencies globally. We are seeing a new era where the contestant is no longer a victim of the system but a partner or even an adversary to it. Matty's story is a testament to the fact that talent, when combined with a deep understanding of digital independence, is unstoppable. He has exposed the cracks in the old media model, showing that a person from a diverse background can move across the world, work a service job and still dominate the global stage without compromising their integrity. Whether he is performing in a small club in Glasgow or a massive arena in Manila, the message remains the same. The game has changed. The labels are no longer the ones holding the keys. The artists are the ones who own the doors. Matty Juniosa didn't just change a television show. He provided a roadmap for every aspiring artist who has ever been told they don't fit the mold. As this reporter can confirm, the industry is still scrambling to catch up to the standard he set. He has left us all wondering what comes next, not just for him, but for the very idea of how a star is born in the modern age. Is the era of the manufactured celebrity finally over, or has Matty simply set the bar so high that no one else can reach it? Only time will tell, but the world is definitely watching.